Hi everybody, welcome back to the Claremont Classic Garage. Today we're going to wake an old friend from its long slumber. Tomorrow night it's Ford night at the cruise, and I haven't had my old Ford out in about 3 years because it's got a couple of issues. But you know what? That's it. I've decided I want to take it tomorrow, so we're going to see if we can get it cranked up and get it over to the shop and see if we can get it back in drivable shape for tomorrow night. For those of you who don't know it or are newer to the channel, this is our 1968 Ford XL convertible. It's got a 390 engine in it. How I ended up with this is I was looking at cars on eBay one day and this popped up, and it's very similar to the 68 Galaxy 500 convertible that I had when I was a kid. I used to take Deb on dates in it. We even went on a vacation to Myrtle Beach in it. What a great car, but it was so rotten, you know. Anyway, long time ago. What I'll do in the description box below, I'll put the link to the playlist of the videos I've made about this car so far, because I kind of started a series on it, but that was like way back when I very first started the channel. Anyway, let's see if we can get this thing cranked up and get it over to the shop. It's nothing special. It's not a show car or anything. It's just a kind of a car that's been maintained and kept up over the years. You know, it's just got what it needed. Nothing carried away. The engine's not detailed or anything like that. So we're going to turn on the battery. When we open the door, if the dome light comes on, that'll be a good sign. We're going to shoot some gas down the vent, the carburetor here. Get the bowl filled up, shoot some down the air horn, and hopefully she'll crank up. Let's see if the dome light comes on. Yep, good. That's a good sign. Find the right key. I love this car. These things are so nice. They just float down the road. Come on, come on, come on. It's got to pump some gas up. There we go. All right, she's running. It's got a cold light. When the engine warms up, that'll go off. Right beside it is the hot light. You don't want that to ever come on. She can idle? I think so. Here's the first thing we have to fix before I go out in public in this thing. It's a ridiculous exhaust leak on this side. Well, let's see if she'll move, eh? Oh, I think we got a sticky brake. Oh, yeah, we got a sticky brake. Well, we'll see what we can do about that. It stops by itself. That's a really sticky brake. Well, we got it to the shop. These things are pretty common to fry the manifold on this side. Canadian cars used a heated plate under the carburetor that was heated by this radiator hose passed through it, and that's how they would heat the intake manifold. American cars had a big heat stove around the front end of this exhaust manifold, and over time it would kind of overheat this end of the manifold and pretzel it. I've been in here before. You can see here it's got a police style gasket on it, and well, that didn't seem to fix it. So anyway, I'm going to go up on my ladder now and see if I've got any 390 manifold gasket. Yep, looks like we've got a few. So what I'm going to do while I wait for that manifold to cool down so I can get my hands on it, we'll jack up the front and see if we can figure out what's up with the brakes. Both my front wheels are free as a bird. So we may have a problem at the back. I'll have to, once I get this manifold sorted out, we'll spin it around and pull the back wheels off and see what is going on. We may have a rusted up drum that's hanging up or something. We'll figure it out. I've unhooked the battery because we're going to be working down there around the starter. First thing we're going to do is crawl underneath and undo the flange from the Y pipe to the manifold, get that free, and then we'll start working on these bolts up here. They're usually pretty fun, these old FE engines, because these bolts, you can see the backside of the hole, it's not a blind hole. It goes through. So the atmosphere and stuff can get at these, and they get stuck in there like nobody's business. But we've had them out before, so hopefully I put plenty of lead plate on them, and they should come right back out this time. There we could see the flange up there. Pretty easy with a long straight extension to just get them. And then I kind of think I have to tilt the engine over too to get the damn manifold out of the engine compartment. But that's something I just kind of vaguely remember. We'll find out. I got the flange undone underneath. Now I've gone ahead and removed there's two little pipes that go down there. There's a little heat stove in here that heats the choke. So we've got the two little pipes out. I've gotten the secondary ignition wiring out of the way. Now we're going to grab a wrench and see if we can get these babies to move. If we can get these top row of bolts to move, we're all set. I had no trouble at all getting these bolts cracked. I've got the first three on the bottom cracked. I'm having a hard time getting at the bottom one at the back. But what I've done now, to give myself just a little bit more room to work in there, I pulled the starter out. So I'm going to go back under there now and see if I can see those bolts and get them out. I got the manifold off, and you can see here, here's our leak. There's a little leak around number one. A little bit around this one too. And that one, that's the only one that's okay. You can see on this side too. So this manifold is a Pretzel. This exhaust manifold, even though it looks like it'll come out of here, will not come out of here. So what we're going to do, I have two choices. I can unhook the other side of the exhaust because this thing has got an H pipe on it. And then I have to undo the motor mounts and tilt the motor up, and I should be able to get it out. Or what I'm going to do now, I'm draining the cooling system, pop these two hoses off, and all you got to do is take these 4 screws out, and the heater core comes straight out, and then I'll be able to just lift the manifold out. That's the easiest way. Well, that's okay. I actually got the heater core out of the box without having to unhook it. Isn't this great, these old cars? You know you got to go through to change a heater core on a modern car today? This old 68 Ford, you just take out 4 screws and pull it out. It's like taking the 8-track out of your stereo. Now, hopefully I can get this manifold up out of there. Now we can see, we can clean this up a little bit and see how mucked up it is with a straight edge. If it's bent like this from end to end like this, it won't be too bad to try and dress it up a little bit. If it's twisted from end to end, that's going to be a problem. I did some highly scientific checking with a straight edge. And yeah, it seems that it's just got, you can see it's bowed. It's kind of like this. Now it might have a little twist to it, but anyway, we're gonna see if we can if we can get anywhere with it. You can see here we've also got a vacuum leak. There should be a nice gasket around here. This is a plate that makes this heat stove for the choke. And you can see here how the plate is kind of curled away and the gasket is all eaten away. So that is literally a vacuum leak. So we're going to heat this screw up, get that off of there, get this cleaned up, and we'll figure out what we got to do with that. Now that that plate is gone, one of the obstacles for dealing with this manifold is gone, the screw head that was sticking up there. So all I've been doing is going across it with a rasp like this. And you can see here where it's actually taken quite a bit of material off here. You just run it across like that. And any high spots, it's going to take them down. And you just work into the center from either end, and you'll be surprised how fast you can straighten this thing out. We can see here we're getting it a lot better than it was. The bottom half of it here is pretty good. The top, you can still see this port is still got a little bit of taper to it. Up to the middle of the port, it's not bad. It's just the roof of the port and up there. So if we can get that little bit knocked down, we should be in pretty good shape with this thing. I mean, we'll never get it 100% perfect. The only way to really guarantee that is to take this thing to a machine shop and let them reface it. But I want this thing fixed now. So I'm not doing that. We'll keep filing. I've got it to within 0.003 every which direction with the rasp. So now I've got a long piece of hardwood with some emery stapled to it. And we're just going across it with this to dress any little imperfections that remain. I cut a new gasket for this out of an old piece of header gasket. So that'll take the heat and seal that up. Now we can go ahead and put the manifold back on. And this time we're going to use one of these gaskets. And that should crunch in pretty well and take up any little imperfections that remain. I got down in there and cleaned the mating surface on the head as good as I could. I looked at it from underneath. It looks pretty darn good. So we're going to go ahead now and put the manifold in. Alrighty. The manifold is on, torqued and retorqued. The pipe is on, snugged up, and the starter is back in and all hooked up. Now we could stick the heater core back in, fill the thing up with antifreeze, and see what she sounds like. Well, we're all back together. Let's put the battery on and crank it up and see how she sounds. Oi! Wow. It has never sounded like this since I've owned this car. 9 years. I don't know, I've had it quite a while. Deb wouldn't even go out in it. It sounded so bad. But let's go check under the hood. Oh, that's beautiful. No leaks at all. There's a tiny little underneath because when I welded the H, and it had just true dual exhaust when I got it, and I wanted it to sound like my old Z-code one that I had when I was a kid, and it needed an H pipe. So I cut 2 holes in it, welded the H in, but on the driver's side, there was one part right on the top that I was having a hard time welding it. We'll get to it one day. I'm going to drop the whole exhaust out of it and fix that. But for now, awesome. I'm going to get the air cleaner on it and get it back on the ground. One thing that makes me feel all warm and squishy, my old 68 Galaxy 500 is long gone. I'm quite sure it no longer exists on this earth. But the one thing I can say is it probably sat on these axle stands back in the 1980s because these stands have been around a long time. They're like family heirlooms. So at least I've got that. I could smile. That's my little bit of nostalgia. Something else I'd like to point out. You'll notice the nice shiny Milodon oil pan on this thing. That's because when when I first got this car. It's been a long time since I had one of these big Fords, and you see that the angle that front cross member is on when the jack is under it. You need to make sure that one of the teeth of the saddle on the jack gets behind that cross member, and I didn't have it behind there, and it shot the jack out and it went right through the bottom of the oil pan. Made kind of a mess. Well, here we go. We're gonna it's still quiet. We're gonna take it for a spin up the road and back and make sure it's all okay. Of course, as soon as I get ready to go, it starts sprinkling, but that's okay. Man, I can't believe how good it sounds. I just ran out. I blew up all the tires. I checked my lights. Yeah, let's see. And then tomorrow I'll have another look at the brakes and see why the heck they're sticking. I love this old pig. Yeah, I can hear a back brake grinding. Okay, I gotta put the camera down. Wow, that's perfect. This thing has never run like this. It's never been so quiet. I can actually hear the PCV valve going clickety, clickety, click. That's awesome. So we're gonna go put her back in the barn for the night. When I was out on my little drive, there's definitely something funny with the brakes. The pedal was kind of hard, and the brake warning light on the dash actually came on, so I got it off the road, got home. The master cylinder, the chamber for the rear brakes is empty, so might have blown a wheel cylinder or something. No problem, we've got all the parts in stock. It's due for a complete brake job anyway, so maybe we'll do that tomorrow, because it's Ford night at the cruise night tomorrow. I'm just so happy, man. What a beautiful car. Even sounds pretty good for a stock 2-barrel 390 with a broomstick for a camshaft. We're gonna do something about that in the future. Man, I am so glad that's done. I've really missed driving that car. I love my convertible. That got kind of involved, so I'm going to split it into 2 videos. We're going to deal with the brakes in the next video, because I'm pretty sure it's just going to need a complete brake overhaul front to rear, which is no problem. All the parts, I've got everything sitting over in the barn ready to do it. So we could just get it in here tomorrow, do the back, do the front, done. And then I've got to do the front end in it. The front end is kind of, it doesn't drive good like it should. But that's okay. We'll get to it. And it needs some driveline stuff too. One of the reasons I stopped driving it was the torque converter seal, or the input seal in the transmission, started leaking. That doesn't seem to be so bad now. I think I dumped a can of Transmedic in it. Does that stuff actually work? I don't know. Anyway, it hasn't left the big, huge red puddle underneath it in ages. So, also I haven't been driving it. So, that could have something to do with it too. Who knows? But anyway, that is something I want to do. The engine and transmission are going to come out of it. They've never been touched. The car's got about 10,000 miles on it. The engine and transmission have never been touched. I did a compression test on that thing when I got it, and it's all over the place, right? It's got 1 good cylinder, 2 bad ones, and 5 sketchy ones. And the transmission's a little squishy too. So what we're going to do, I've got all the parts for that too. We're going to pull the motor and tranny out of it. The transmission is going to get overhauled with a shift kit and a couple of other little things. It's a C6. Some of those things would have had an FMX in it, which is a pretty tough transmission, but I'd rather have a C6. So we're going to fix the C6 up. And then the engine, I've got rings, bearings, a camshaft. It's kind of a reproduction of like I think a 60 or 62, 300 horse 390. We're going to put a camshaft in it. I've got a 4-barrel intake, we'll make a nice running little car out of it. And that's only drive line 1. Wait till you see what we've got in store for drive line 2, but I don't know when I'll get to that. So we're going to freshen up the one that's in it and go with that for the time being. Well, when I'll get to that, who knows. But anyway, for now, we're going to get it over here in the morning, do the brakes, and get her back running and driving good. Anyway, I'm going to take off now. I'd like to thank you for tuning into our channel. Hope you'll come back and see us again. And it's nice to work on an old car and get the classic back into Claremont Classic Garage. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll catch you next time. Bye-bye.